So what's going on guys, Kids here, and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the new insane and improved bunny build in the first Descendant. So for this build I will show you what weapons and modules you want to get. Then I will explain every single skill and show you the best stats and external components. And then lastly we will take a closer look at the gameplay and mods, so you would be able to get the best results and highest damage possible and much more. And just before we start, let me introduce you guys to today's sponsor, Instant Gaming. They are a website that provides you with a brand new and simple way to buy games at amazing prices. You can get the best PC, Mac and console games with up to 70% off. Instant Gaming makes it very easy to save while purchasing games within a single site. Just choose the game you want to play. For example, I want to buy the new Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. So we just click on Add to Cart, then click Pay. Then we input our details, and then when the payment is complete, we will receive the game's activation key. And finally, we just simply go to the Steam and copy and paste the key in, and it's that simple. We just saved €9 and this was only 23% off. There are plenty of other offers that go even up to 70%. So what are you waiting for? Check out Instant Gaming by clicking my link in the description box, and let's get right back into the video. So then let's move over to the build. This character is an insane nuker who sprints while discharging electricity. The more she runs, the greater the electrical energy she accumulates. Bunny specializes in dealing electrical lightning damage to the enemies, particularly in AoE. Bunny can get very high DPS by just hitting a large number of enemies. Your skills will cost electricity, so if you run out of it, then they will be unusable until you generate more. Bunny can generate electricity by moving quickly, so for this build I recommend to use the lightning speed skill as much as possible. And as you can see, as long as you will be doing that, we will get insane one-shot damage. This new build works that we stack new several skill damage bonuses on top of each other to gain very high AoE damage. The only important thing to keep in mind is when playing this build, keep spamming your lightning speed skill to generate electricity, and for bosses and even stronger enemies that need 2 or 3 shots to get one-shotted, then just keep debuffing them with the electrocute, so you could boost your damage even higher. If this type of gameplay sounds interesting to you, then have fun one-shotting your enemies. Then now let's take a look at our build modules. So here we have the best modules for your leveling build. You should be able to get this by approximately level 25 to 30. This is a good base setup to have before preparing to farm the max level bunny build. So we want to get the strong mentality to reduce your skill resurrection cost, then increased HP, that will increase our max HP, then skill cost optimize, that reduces our skill cost, then electric master, which increases the skill power and skill electric power, then electric specialist, which considerably increases your electric skill power, and adds a multiplier to our stats, called the electric skill power boost ratio, then dual class, that increases our max module capacity, then skill expansion, which increases your skill effect range for valid skills, then nimble fingers, that reduces your skill cooldown, and finally increased defensives, which increase our defense stats. And after that is done, now we are ready for our one-shot max level module setup. So for the endgame build I recommend to use the shock punch, skill expansion, increased defensives, MP collector, increased HP, focus on electric, nimble fingers and skill extension. If you want to one-shot enemies and still survive hard bosses even if they hit you, then this is the setup for you. And just before we move on to the last part, which is your weapons, let me quickly explain why are some skill modules empty, like here for example. So basically this slot modifies our skills, but the problem is that by using the best modules, we will up our module capacity, and as our build already has insane damage and one-shots everything, so we can easily leave these spaces empty, as pretty much anything we put in here is just not worth the build. And that's why we only want to use the best of the best modules for that one-shot capability. And then finally, let's take a look at the best weapons and stats that we should use. So for the bunny build, the Thunder Cage submachine gun is the only important weapon for our loadout. This submachine gun is the ultimate weapon, which emits an electric shockwave that creates the appearance of thunder being directed at the enemy. When killing enemies, they have a set chance of discharging electricity shockwave that deals additional damage to nearby enemies. This is an insanely high DPS weapon with a quick fire rate, which suits our build playstyle the best. And then for our weapon mods, here are the best ones, like the better concentration, rifling reinforcement, better insight, action and reaction, toxic enhancement, focus fire and concentration priority. And again, the same thing as for modules. We can easily leave the empty spaces free, as using only the best mods are way better than just clumping up a bunch of average mods. Then after that, now let's go over to the best reactor stats. So your reactor is very important item that determines your skill damage and can also include extra modifiers that buff certain aspects of your build. The better your reactor is, the more damage your skills will deal to enemies. I recommend prioritizing using a reactor with a high skill power and a sub attack power. After that, you can look out for reactors with a boost to your skill critical hit damage, which will improve the amount of damage dealt when you land a critical hit. Specifically, my best job that I got is the Stingling Singularity Reactor, which has the Thunder Cage mounting condition. But if you don't have this yet, then you can just focus on the skill power and try to farm this one whenever you can. And then finally, we have the external components. With your external components, you will be somewhat subject to RNG, at least until you've played the game for long enough, to find basically every single possible combination with a good stat roll. For our bunny build, I recommend getting the Supernova Auxiliary Power, that increases our max shields, then the Supernova Sensor, that increases our shields again, then Supernova Memory, that increases our defensives, and lastly the Supernova Processor, that increases even more of our defensives. The reason why I focus on defenses and shields is because we already have so much damage that I personally prefer to keep doing that damage instead of being one-shotted by the enemies. But of course, it's up to you. You can either way make your build more survivable, so you won't die from getting one-shotted by the enemies. Or on the other hand, you can do even a bit more damage, on top of the already insane damage we have. I personally recommend my choice, but this won't break the build. So if you prefer the different way, then go ahead. And then last but not the least, let's look into the skills. So then for the first passive skill, we have the Rabbit Foot, which charges electricity by moving around. Landing on the target after a double jump will inflict damage to a nearby enemy. Then our first active skill is the Thrill Explosion, which summons an Electro Orb to attack the nearby enemies and inflict them with the Electrocute effect. Then the second one is the Speed of Light. This skill will increase the sprint speed and the amount of electricity obtained. Then the Lightning Emission skill will do that when moving around. It deals damage to nearby enemies and inflicts them with the Electrocute effect. And finally, we have the Maximum Power that shoots out electricity forwards to inflict damage. Damage increases in proportion to the skill duration, and that's about it. So with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or suggestions, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and not miss any more amazing content. With that said, you have an amazing day and I will see you in the next one, so take it easy, peace.